Okay, so not making excuses, but this was a last-minute thing, and I'm extremely pleased with the what I've got together. It really is representative of what I did for Tim Burton on Wednesday. What I realized when I was doing this is, and realized kind of in the last couple of weeks, was I'm working on a particular show at the moment where I'm the art director, and they asked me to provide a style guide to the 3D artists for how I do what I do. And I found that really quite difficult because it's like, I'm not sure how I do what I do. And very often when we become professional artists, the scaffolding that we had early in our career sort of falls away, and you don't then know what it was you built your techniques on. But it was quite useful because I had to do it. So I went through from cubes to rocks to characters to whatever, the whole thing. So then today, when I was putting this together this morning, I was going, okay, well, I can think about process and how I work when it came to Wednesday, because the thing about working for Tim Burton, unlike other directors, is he's an artist, and he is very happy for me to work in this very minimalist style, which is the style I most like to work in. And it is very particular to how I work. Other people work like that, but anyway. So what I'll do is I'll go through this, and let's see how long it takes, and then we'll take questions either when we go through a second time or whatever. We'll see what happens. Let's see what happens. I mean, that was the publicity thing. I don't know if people are familiar with, that I did. Okay, this is going to take forever if I stop at every slide, but I need to talk about this one. So the fantastic thing about working for Tim Burton is Netflix provided some publicity material, and Tim was like, it's okay, can you come in and have a look? So what I did was I just came in and did loads of sketches and drawings for ideas, including this one. And when I drew this, there was no pressure on me, because I thought, well, Netflix, I'll do this quickly, and then Netflix, they'll get a photographer and they'll get they hadn't cast Wednesday at this point, but which is why, by the way, I put her face in silhouette. So I thought they'll replace the whole thing with, get a proper session going, get a photographer and a cellist and the whole thing. But then Tim was like, no, I just want to use this. And I was like, oh, okay. So what was great about that is it has a kind of freshness and liveliness to it, which I really like, but do not often get away with for finished visuals. Never mind one that's out being printed 20 feet tall to promote a TV series. Anyway, I will get through. So, okay. So the first thing I did on Wednesday was just quickly start drawing. Now, bear in mind, she's not been cast, so I'm just getting into character. So I'll just do a couple of sketches just to think about what Wednesday would be like. And what I liked about this is I made her bag buckles look grumpy, as well. I don't know if people pick up on that, but anyway. So same thing with the car. I'll turn to photo bashing if I think it works to sell an idea. And it's a lot easier than drawing the car. And obviously, I extended it. And actually, it was my friend Rob Bliss had this idea that if she's all the way back at the stretched limo, she should talk to the driver through a mobile phone, which I thought was a really cool idea. So I have to credit Rob with that. That was cool. The first time we see Thing arrive. So I do a bunch of them, and then I get the actual script and react to the script. And which I'm calling script beats here. So this is one of the well-known images in the final series. And again, what is indicative of the way I work is that this is a gymnasium with a swimming pool, but all I do to indicate that it's a gym is put the American flag at the back, and because that's when I'm Irish living in London, but if I do a bit of research, I go, that'll sell it. I don't need to do anything else, move on. So that's just a shot from the final film showing that it managed to actually survive all the way to the finish. Same sort of thing, on another film, that background, that greenhouse, would be a 3D model, tricked out, lit. And I do that myself on other shows. But the fantastic thing about working for Tim Burton is like, no. He does, because the important thing is he doesn't want to commit. He just wants you helping him think about what the design might be. He doesn't want finished designs. In fact, there was a whole art department run by Mark Scruton who did the finished designs for the film. And I didn't work for the art department. I worked directly for Tim, which again is very unusual. So it was just helping him think. That was the feel of it. So some more of them. Again, the Nevermore, and this will show you the difference between sort of what you can get away with as a concept artist, and then they actually have to find a location, and it's much, much harder. So I'll do a quick sketch like this, just think about it, the big gates, the towers, the turrets, and then the reason I put little notes on this is that it is kind of, I am thinking about the spaces, like this, when I looked at the script, they needed a boathouse, a lake, all these elements, and then Wednesday's dorm looking out onto a balcony with gargoyles. But you can see that I'm getting away with doing it so minimally. It's not sketchy. That's a very important thing about my technique. It's not sketchy. It's minimal. At least that's my excuse. So same thing, if we zoom into Wednesday, there's very little there, and that's sort of a close-up. So again, the final film, it doesn't look, how are we doing on time, guys? Oh, that's only a tiny amount of time. The final, how this appeared in the final movie, it almost doesn't matter to me. This is because all of these elements are in place. And when Tim sees this, this is enough for him. He's like, great, we get what we need here. We get the sense of it, the atmosphere. And I'll come back to this in a minute, actually, because that cello is very much implied, which we'll see in a second. So same thing, shots across the lake, just to ask what kind of shots and locations you might need. And then there was a few locations. They were going to shoot in Canada. They didn't in the end, but this was a location. And then Tim will say, he'll get his assistant, send me a photograph. Look, can you do something with this? And then I'll just go in and, goth it up a little bit, put in some dark skies. But it's a very quick and simple thing to do. And then, so this was actually the final location. And when I saw this, because when I think they shot in Bulgaria, is that right? I think. I remember seeing this and thinking it looked like a Napa Valley winery. It was like really pretty and, all the blue skies. So again, Tim's like, we may have to use this. So you just do that. Put the Addams Family hat on it and some dark skies, and you're away. Hang on now. And that's how it ended up in the final movie. So that is that location. So it's, movie magic. You can see the how VFX can transform anything, really. And again, by the way, I do all this stuff, and the art department, which the production designer, have to keep acknowledging that Mark Scruton was the actual production designer. I wasn't the designer. I was just helping Tim think about it. In fact, they were all on location and out in the art department, and I didn't connect with them. I just connected with Tim. And he obviously fed the different people and different departments stuff that he thought that he wanted from what I did to influence them. So, yeah, Ain't It in Wednesday's dorm. This, again, there's a lot of information in this, but you couldn't really build from this. But even down to the way I wanted the details, like the purple paint over the green is as far as Wednesday could reach with a roller. That was what I was kind of thinking there. And the black tape is peeling down. And it's very minimally illustrated, but you don't need any more. Those points are made quickly and efficiently, and you kind of move on. And for the size of that room, I went for a meeting with Tim Burton, and I was saying, well, how big should the room be? And he was looking around his office, and he was like, about this big. So that was my kind of, okay, that'll do. That's roughly how big it was. So this was when I started putting this together this morning, I was like, I really need to show people up close what I get away with, right? Because that's the typewriter. There's nothing there. It's just barely, like the candle, hopefully they read exactly what they are without any detail. Again, on another show, I've got 3D models of typewriters. So I could just put it in, and some, as I said, some directors want that, or at least they use the fact that it doesn't look real as a reason for not accepting a design, which is something I think often happens, and things get, you show a director a sketch and they say, I'm not sure about that, can I see it in color? And then you do it in color, I'm not sure about that, can I see it in more real looking? And then you do it in real 3D tricked out model, and you go, I'm not sure about that. And eventually they're like, I don't like it. There's each time they say they're not sure, the answer is very often to do something even more closer to what it will finally look, to kind of convince them. But I can do it, and I often do it, but I much prefer working like this. So that was how it ended up in the final movie. Again, I had nothing to do with that except for the visuals. But I just thought, anytime I found this morning anything, from the final series, I thought I should throw it in. Doing more with less. That's my philosophy, is try to get as much information as possible with as little, a few strokes. And that's the other reason, which is that I do get bored really, really quickly. Brian Matthews down there and myself worked at Ice Blink, and we had a lot of, the guys were matte painters, and they were amazing. And one of the things they were amazing at was just the ability to sit with a painting or a visual for a week or 2 weeks. And I just can't do that, because what happens to me is once the design is, once all the questions of the concepts are asked, all the questions I want asked are asked, I want to do something else. So what I'll tend to do is change the question. So I'll start tightening up an illustration, and then I'll just change it and ask a different question. It just suits me better to work very minimally. So we're back to this because I just wanted to show you, it's very minimal. And that cello, as I said, I looked at a cello for reference, but barely. That's enough. And there's another thing, actually, which maybe I don't have a lot of time to go into, but I do an awful lot with silhouettes and reverse silhouettes. So you're all the time trying to find a shape that sits in front of another shape and can be read clearly, which is another advantage in doing this minimal kind of style, because you don't get lost in lots of noise and information. Things can be very clear. So same thing. I just went back to this because when we go in close, Wednesday wasn't cast at this stage. So which is a luxury really, because sometimes when the actors cast, you fall into this place where the producers often want you to make it look like the actor, and I'm not great at that. I'm not a good portrait artist. Again, it takes too much effort. So I have the luxury very early on of just doing a Wednesday type character. And also you can see the way I've drawn that face. It's very minimal. Not laboring the point too much, but this is same thing. I just thought I'll zoom in there. So it's pretty chunky and quick. And that's the statue from the final, which I had nothing. My statue is that. That's all the design, if you like, that I did, and then other people took it over and brought it to the next level. Okay, so one thing though is that when I work on that style, very often what I do does not end up on screen because it's so minimal. But again, Tim Burton likes big shapes, and on his shows sometimes what I do actually seems to get through. And on Netflix, on Wednesday, I'd sent all the work off and didn't talk to anybody, because often what happens is a director gets busy and then you don't really talk to them very much, you just send your pictures. So what happened was, when I saw Netflix on TV, I was like, oh, that is actually, all the boat designs were very, very close to what I did, right down to using tape for the designs and everything, which was really cool to happen. So this also leads to my process, which is the first thing. Oh, by the way, that costume didn't make it to the screen. I mean, Colleen Atwood is the costume designer. She does not need me telling her what costumes to do. She's an absolute genius. Anyway, so again, I go back to the script, and then I've got to design the boats. So I don't go straight in and just start designing boats. It's much better to just quickly draw some scene from the script when you have it, because what I needed to think about was that a part of the script, I don't know if it survived to the final Netflix show, but was all about them painting the boat and Wednesday not wanting to be involved in even helping, and then the other characters, as they painted the boat, they revealed lots of things, which is one of the best ways to tell a story anyway, is give everybody a similar thing to do, and how they do it, it reveals their character. So that was one reason we did it. I did this, was just to explore that. And then, okay, so we got the race between, you know, the different forms, or what are they called? Anyway, whatever. Houses, that's good, Daryl, thank you. And so again, I knew that one of the action was this like chariot race with the metal spears coming out. So I just would draw that very quickly. I knew that there was an underwater sequence where Thing followed this guy. So again, it's all very minimal. How are we doing on time? Jesus. Okay. And then I drew this and I thought, okay, I'm getting someplace with the boat because I can use some of that battering ram information. And then I was thinking about on the front of his ship, on the prow of his ship, and Dara's going to tell me the name of the figurehead on the front of the ship. And I thought, okay, what would they do? So a mixture between the flags and the figurehead. And then I thought, great, they'll make, their version of that will be to have their flags be, the flagpoles covered in what they think represents them. And what I really liked was the idea of Enid and stuff has all her fluffy, soft toys. And I love the idea that Wednesday would strap them all to the thing, which is kind of being cruel to them, but also having them as their mascot kind of thing. So I just thought that deserved a little zoom in. So you've got the mixture of the happy little toys and Wednesday's very serious face. Again, she wasn't cast at all, so I get away with doing... Yeah, these guys, these are the heavy metalers. And I don't know if you noticed that guy. And yeah, this... So these, okay, so I'll show you these then. Pretty much were exactly what they did in the final film. Oh yeah, just quickly, if you've done all the designs and then you've got another department and not Tim, and you want to say, no, these will work, I can then go into 3D and do more traditional concept art, where I'll just get a 3D model of a boat and paint the designs onto them. So, like this. Wednesday in the boat. And then these final designs, it's as simple as that. This is what gets presented to the set deck department or props department. And from there, then, this is pretty much it was very, it was great to watch the show and go and actually see what you've done on screen. To know that you can work that in that method and have it survive the process was really great. Okay, and yeah, the monster. We had no idea what he looked like. No idea. So Tim was like, just do a scene with the monster. And what's he look like? Don't know yet. Don't want to know yet. I haven't decided. So that's why I just kind of vaguely put in this creature falling on top of this character. And then I started to explore the monster. The designs that I did not make it at all, but it was great fun doing them. And so same thing. I was leaving the monster in the shadows, so we didn't commit to what it looked like. But again, this very brief minimalist style. And yeah, so this was a monster. I mean, this was nothing like the monster, but this is just me having fun. And the thing about this is that, one last thing I'll say, we're at the last slide. The second last slide, you've got to. So I actually have to work at a 5K and sometimes 6K resolution. Even though my work is very minimal, these teeth, the monster's teeth, even though I work the best way of describing why my work is not sketchy is that I want those teeth to be exactly that shape and exactly that level of resolution and tightness. And then the rest of it can fall away to just texture. But you kind of need to work at a very high resolution, weirdly, to work in this minimal style. Anyway, it's just a process. The next slide is my niece, Katie, said, just by coincidence, sent me her Halloween costume, which was, they're obsessed with Netflix, with Wednesdays. I've become a real hero. I thought working on Harry Potter made me a hero to the kids, but actually Wednesday has a whole new generation of them coming through, nieces and nephews, that at Christmas they are really, they're really excited about it. But anyway, so I said as a kind of a joke, I said, yeah, I'll talk to you, I'll show your costume in the presentation. So I'm going to do that. So I thought I should goth her up a little bit. So there you go. I give her some of my style. But anyway, she'll be very pleased about that. All right, that's the end of the presentation.